Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Byron. I'm a vegan and I'm aiming to lose around about 5 stone. I'm currently doing this following the Slimming World plan. Every weekend I upload my weigh-in result videos and today I'm going to be talking to you about this week's result, which is week 23. First of all, I just want to say I'm amazed that I have got 23 weeks into consistently being committed to the same weight loss program. This is just, a huge mental victory for me at the moment, even though I have had a gain this week. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. So, really, what I've been trying to do over the last couple of days and throughout this journey, really, as I've been growing, is kind of thinking honestly about accountability, ownership, and learning, I guess, to reframe quote unquote failure. Because certainly previous versions of me would consider a gain to be a failure, and it would have a big knock on effect on my mental health and my choices and behaviours. And I really want to talk about the changes that I'm making in regards to that today, on the back of yet another gain. So it's week 23. It's my third gain so far out of those 23 weeks. And I stepped on the scales on Friday, and yep, I had gained £2 this week. Previously, the week before, I had lost £2, so that kind of cancelled out that particular loss. However, just for the kind of overall data, over the 23 weeks, it puts my current weight at 14 stone and £2, which means that I, since joining Slimming World, have lost a total so far of 3 stone and £2. So, part of what I'm going to talk about today is that bigger picture and how important I'm finding it to keep that bigger picture at the forefront of my mind. But also, I think it's important to be honest about this and for me not to go and hide and skip uploading a video, but just to acknowledge what happened, accept that it's happened, and to move on. So when I think about why I might have gained the £2 this week, and again, I think there's a fine line between excuses and reasons, and I'm really, really trying to focus on the reasons rather than the excuses, because it's just about understanding what happened so that I can choose whether or not to repeat the choices that I made over this week. I guess the first question you might be asking is, did I stay on plan? And I have to say, yes and no. I say yes and no because if I had followed the plan to the T, to the letter, as it's written, I may have had a different result this week. But I did bend some of the guidance within the Slimming World plan. But I've done that on previous weeks and it's not had the same effect. But what I mean by bending the guidance is I have stopped sinning the Alpro Greek yogurt that I have, purely because I find it unfair that the non-vegan equivalents don't have a sin value attached. But I've been doing that every week and that's not made, any difference. I've been having losses. The biggest difference I think that I have experienced is that I get a sin allowance of 25 sins a day, which times 7 equals 175 sins a week. Now I know that the food optimizing book doesn't say to you know, roll your sins over and kind of cash them all in at once. You're meant to have sort of a minimum of 5 a day. For me, it would be 5 to 25 sins a day. And again, usually on a previous week, I do roll my sins over. I'll usually have 30, 40, 50 of them on a Tuesday night, and 30, 40, 50 of them, 60, sometimes 70, on a Friday night, because I drink my sins. I choose to use my sins with alcohol. I do love a gin and tonic. I love a vodka and soda. This week I've been eating my sins, which is a bit of a difference for me. Had very, very limited alcohol this week, but a huge amount of foods that I wouldn't normally choose to eat. Jelly tots, fruit pastels, Haribo, things of that nature. I won't list them all. I don't want to trigger anyone. They are actually trigger foods for me. And I sinned them, and I was within my sin values. I think I had 172 sins over the week. But I certainly was allocating my sins in a very different way over the last 7 days. I also have gone back to work. I went back to work on Tuesday. I found it quite, not overwhelming, but quite exhausting. My stamina's not been great this week. I ran out of spoons very, very quickly. So going back to work after, I think, 3 weeks off, maybe 3 weeks and 2 days off, I can't remember. I have just been exhausted. I've come home and I've gone straight to sleep. And I've slept right through until the morning, and then just repeated that cycle. So I haven't done my exercise last week as much as I would have liked to. So I think that's contributed somewhat to my result this week. And I also, as you may remember from my previous video, have started taking venlafaxine again alongside my mirtazapine. And again, you know, I think this is a reason, not an excuse, but it does say in, you know, big letters on both of those medications, may cause weight gain, may cause increased appetite. And I have felt ravenous all week. Like even today, I had my usual breakfast this morning of 40 grams of oats with a splash of my almond milk, 200 grams of, I actually used the Tesco yogurt today, which is sin-free, a whole punnet of blueberries and a sliced banana. Normally that fills me up for 2-3 hours, and when I was like, I had 2 or 3 spoonfuls left, all I could think was I could eat the same amount of this again right now. Like, I had to really force myself not to go back to the kitchen and make myself another bowl of oats and yogurt and fruit. Now, usually the increased appetite doesn't tend to last too long, maybe sort of 2-3 weeks when I tweak the medication dosages. So I'm hoping that I will be able to get a better handle of it over the next few days. But, and this is the important part here, I still could have chosen not to eat those things, yet I did. There were choices that I made, and like I say, I just accept them, I'm acknowledging them, and I'm moving on from them. I'm just going to try not to do the same in the following 7 days ahead. What I am trying to do is go to understanding those choices, understanding what I could have done instead of making those choices. How could I have distracted myself more? How could I have still, you know, had some level of satiety, but without going for sweeties or bread or all the other things that I felt I had a craving for last week. I think it's really easy for us when we have a gain, when we have quote unquote failure, to jump straight to guilt, to blame ourselves. And I think what I want to do now, or what I'm learning to do as part of accountability, is jump to a place of curiosity and try to understand why, rather than negative self-talk on, what's already happened. I think it's about accountability, but without shame. Looking at the positives, looking at the huge successes that I've had, as like I said earlier, as that bigger picture, and understanding what happened without feeling the need to punish myself for it. I think it's about saying, I know what happened, I see what happened and why it happened, but I'm not an awful person for letting it happen. I'm not terrible, I'm not useless, I'm not a failure. I just had a week of choices that led to an outcome, and now I'm dealing with that outcome moving forward. So when I say it's about reframing failure, it's not so much about failure, but it's about redefining what failure means and redefining what success means for me. And for me, being 23 weeks into Slimming World is a huge success. It's honestly, if you'd said to me a year ago or 2 years ago that I'd be approaching 6 months of sticking consistently to a plan, and I'd have lost over 3 stone and I'd be looking forward to getting my 3.5 stone award, I would not have believed you, because I feel like back then I didn't have the self-belief, I wasn't resilient, I was a failure because I painted myself with that failure brush. So now I'm looking differently at my successes. Today, this morning, I did my Couch to 5K week 5 run 3. That is the first time that I have run for 20 minutes without a break in between. That's just incredible for me. The fact that I have been able to run consistently, solidly for 20 minutes. Again, I wouldn't have believed you. At the beginning of this, so 5 weeks ago, I really struggled with the 60-second bursts of running that you do as part of it. I wouldn't even then have believed you if you'd said that in 5 weeks' time I'd be able to run solidly for 20 minutes. So again, that's just been a huge, huge victory for me, and one that I'm happy to keep on with. So what am I going to be doing to look forward and to hopefully not repeat another gain on the scales? My hair looks really, really fluffy today. I am so sorry. I didn't realise I looked like a little teddy bear. I did have a shower after my run, and just let my hair air dry. Sorry, little one. Where was I? Next week. So I'm going to continue with Couch to 5K. I am going to run... Oh, another huge win. Sorry, completely forgot to say that as well as being back at work, I have had my gym induction. So that's going to be a whole video to itself when I talk about the kind of movement, exercise, and the benefits that that's had for me physically and up here mentally. But yes, had my actual gym induction, tried a few of the machines, but not really sure what I'm doing. But I want to focus, I think, each week on trying something new, not just the treadmill, to see what else I enjoy doing there. So that's a really, really exciting part of my journey for me at the moment. And I can't wait to see, what changes, like I say, physically and mentally that brings for me. I am going to just try everything, give it a go, and who knows, something might stick. It might be the rowing machine or the elliptical, or they've got one of those things that you push and those ropey things. I don't know. Clearly not a gym person. And again, if you'd said to me a year ago or 2 years ago that I'd be excited about going to the gym, I would have laughed at you. It wouldn't have happened. So yeah, this week ahead, I'm not going to commit to numbers. I'm not going to say I'm going to go to the gym this many times or I'm going to run this many times. I'm going to do as much as I can, being back at work, but I am going to try to push myself. If I'm not feeling like doing it, I'm going to question why and give myself an extra push to do it. I am going back to basics food-wise. I am sticking to my tried and tested breakfast, overnight oats, yogurt, fresh fruit. I am going back to salads or soups for lunch, and I am going back to my typical meals on an evening, either a TVP chili or a lentil curry. In fact, I've just made a big vat of chili right now. So I'm going to portion that off and put some in the fridge and some in the freezer. I'm going to stick to what I know works, and I'm going to come back to you in a week's time, hopefully with loss, and hopefully with even more updates on my physical exercise journey. If you have also had a gain this week, I hope that you are also dealing with it in a proactive way, that you're not being hard on yourself for that. These things happen, and having a gain does not undermine or undo the progress that I've done or the progress that you have made so far. We will keep on moving forward. That's really all we can do. But what we can do is be compassionate and kind to ourselves. We don't need to be our own jailers. We don't need to make ourselves feel bad or feel guilty. If we can look and take some positives out of what we've learned and what we've experienced. That's me done for today. I hope you have stuck with me till the end. If you have, please leave me a comment. I do love reading them all. And I am now back on track with responding to my comments, because I obviously struggled a little bit when I was under the weather. But I think I'm up to date now with pretty much all of them from the last couple of videos. So please leave me a comment. Let me know how you deal with setbacks. Let me know if you've had a gain this week or if you've had a loss this week. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Until the next time, bye-bye.